I didn't want to do all this stuff, but
you did, though, Steve, because you said in the very beginning that you were going to do this stuff. But the problem is how you did it. Hey guys, this is Jules with True Crime Reactions. Disclaimer. Everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Okay, a couple of you told me that Steve was over on this, I guess, British show, a show over in the UK. It's definitely across the pond. And I sat down and took a listen. So listen with me.
We are joined now live by Steve Goncalves. His 21-year-old daughter, Kaylee, was tragically one of those 4 students. Steve, thank you for joining us and for bearing with us as well as we got the line up and clear to you. We appreciate your
Steve looks the worst he's ever looked. Whatever he's feeling right now about what has happened with this plea and not going to trial and not getting the real answers and not seeing everything laid out the way that we should be seeing it laid out, he's not taking it well. And it's physically showing on him. He's pretty much stayed pretty much the same looking to me, minus like shaven or mustachioed or whatever. But this is really different. This is different, Steve.
Thoughts today. It's been a week since that plea deal has happened. I wonder what your first response was and how your family have been coping over the last week.
I feel like we worked our tails off for 2.5 years for a certain moment for our time in court. And anything less than our peers being able to judge what happened was a letdown, you know.
His eyes look like he's shell-shocked. I mean, this looks like a different Steve. This is really affecting him a lot.
And we're trying to wrap our head around the fact that one individual is able to determine what this justice was. And call us naive, but we grew up in a school system that told us that, you know, our juries, our peers would be the ones that told us, decided what was guilty and innocent. And that's not how it worked. And we weren't prepared for one person to make a decision about something about 4 lives.
I don't really think that that's what the whole argument is. I don't think it's really a jury of citizens or a judge. I think that he's just upset that this didn't go to trial. Unless he's trying to see somehow if the public is going to feel the way that he feels. Maybe he's trying to look for justification from his peers for how he thinks about things. I know that he has questions. He's just refusing, or at least has been really refusing, to come out and be very vocal and public about them. He had a couple of things that he said in the very beginning, and then everything went quiet. And now that he doesn't like what's going on, he's starting to ask questions about the university. He's starting to finally tell us how he really feels about the prosecution, about the state, which is interesting because, again, he did a round of interviews before Dateline where he blatantly came out and said how much he's come to respect these guys and know how much they actually care about them and the case and all these things. And now everything's a 180. I really wish he would have just been honest about how he really felt from the beginning instead of playing everyone, because he can complain about the state all he wants to. He's not innocent. He came out and gave us blatantly false information just to then come out 2 years later and be like, I had it wrong. Sorry. And not even really sorry. He puts the blame on a whole nother entity that's not responsible for his mouth opening and lies coming out of his mouth. It's all just so stupid.
Lives. So.
And Steve, what do you think about the fact that Kohberger will now face prison and not the death penalty?
It's pathetic because in America, prison's daycare. It's daycare for adults.
I mean, the only difference would be like where he's housed and the restrictions. But he was still going to spend probably like over 10 years, maybe 15, maybe even 20 waiting. Because that's how it always is. They take forever to finally get to the actual execution portion of the DP because there's all of these appeals. Like, honestly, being on death row, you have a lot more resources and a lot more rights than whenever you're life in prison. I didn't know that. I didn't know that there was a difference between your resources to fight your sentencing until Scott Peterson got taken off of death row and put on, sentenced to life. all of a sudden, that's whenever the Innocence Project came in, because he lost all of his like real resources that he had being on death row. And he's been in jail for how long? When did this stuff with Lacey Peterson and the baby happen? And how long was he even, on death row before that got reduced? I mean, I get what they're saying, but at the end of the day, it still would have been years and years and years and years before we ever got to what they wanted here. Yeah.
And my daughter deserves everything that I can give her, every bit of rage and power and everything that I could do to fight for her, I was doing. And I reached this one individual who made a decision without our input. And for me to stand silent and accept that is not who I am. That's not what this family is. We fight for our children. I mean, we're literally talking about life and death. And that's why I didn't want to be this guy. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to do all this stuff. But
you did, though, Steve, because you said in the very beginning that you were going to do this stuff. But the problem is how you did it. The problem is how you did it. You let go of all of the questions that you had when it came to who could have really been responsible. And instead, you targeted your anger at the suspect that they had in custody instead of at the agencies that caused you to have all those questions and all of those issues to begin with. I'm not saying that I believe 100% on anything. All I know is that the state, even to this day, after the hearing, they did not prove their case. They went back on a lot of things that we have already seen proof and evidence for. One of the biggest lies is about how everyone was asleep. That's not true. Dylan literally said during the grand jury, according to what we have heard being relayed in court and in the most recent documents from the past few months, well, really since January is whenever a lot of information really started kicking up and coming out. But even in Dylan's recollection to the things that she was saying, it wasn't a quiet night. She literally added a contact to her phone at 3:51 a.m. just minutes before we're supposed to believe that a DoorDasher, according to third-party unverified information, locked eyes with Kohberger before 4 o'clock in the morning as they were going up to the house to deliver the food, while also apparently claiming someone was standing in one of the windows watching. None of that makes any sense. And people can say whatever they want to. Go to the public filings. I'll even have the link to the document from the Idaho site in the description box of this video. Go to this page number, look at this photo, and zoom in and look at the bottom. Look with your own devices. You can see the top rectangular curvatures of a license plate on what they believe to be SV1. We also know for a fact, according to the court evidence anyway, that Murphy was outside barking for a good 30 minutes after SV1 left the area. Who put the dog outside? Who let the dog back in 30 minutes later? That would mean, if the theory is correct from the state, that Dylan and Bethany, or, one or the other, maybe both, probably both, had to leave Bethany's bedroom and have walked around the house in order to allow Murphy back inside from being outside, according to testing, for 30 minutes after SV1 leaves. That's almost 5 a.m. That's almost 5 o'clock in the morning. And we're supposed to just stop asking questions because we heard some guy stand up and say yes, 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 yes. To what? To what? To no details? What should have happened was, Mr. Kohberger, did you park in this area before entering 1122 King Road? Yes. Did you enter 1122 King Road through the back sliding glass door? Yes. Did you in this order? They should have been more specific. What happened here to not give anyone any answers? And as much as I have disagreed with Steve about a lot of stuff, especially with the way that he has come out and done a lot of things, he's not wrong here. The people that are in Xana Kernodle's family that disagree with this are not wrong here either. The families that are okay with this, I have problems with. How are you just okay with not having any actual answers about the last few hours of your child's life. We don't even have proof or facts for when Xana was actually on TikTok or not. They've come out with the actual evidence and completely moved the timeline all over again. Honestly, way back to the original 3 to 4 a.m. timeline is the evidence being presented. Everything that they've told us about the 4 to 4 something, that's whenever we started having all of these missing pieces once they switched the timeline after the arrest. But then the evidence starts being public and it's starting to shift back, and now we're here. It just doesn't make any sense.
I have no choice. I am who I am. I said, if you don't give my daughter the most respect, the most justice, then I can't support that. And that's all I've done.
Steve, did you and the families know that they were going to offer this plea deal? Because you've waited 3 years. Like you say, you've been working really hard for this chance.
Yeah, we are in July. Trial was going to be starting in like 5 weeks. It's just insane.
It's in court, and this really seems like it's come out of left field for you.
It was out of left field. There's something going on about silencing. Everything was sealed. Everything. I mean, the gag order. Why are we doing a gag order? He pleaded guilty. We're still doing a gag order. So no, we found on Friday they said that they might be looking at the possibility of pleading, and then by Sunday it was already done. And then they.
Now remember, I was told on the 26th that the very next day the families were going to be meeting. I thought it was because the trial had been pushed back a week. I was wrong. It was about this. It was about this conversation and what they intended on doing and sort of getting a feel for how the families would react to it. But in the end, it didn't really matter. Even if all the families would have disagreed, they probably would have still went along with it because that was probably the plan. Nothing makes sense here. Nothing makes any sense here.
They told us there's no way for us to even change the date. We've been trying to push back because my daughter's about to go to college, and we're trying to like juggle these things. Like I'm trying to send her to college and still go to court at the same time, and they don't seem very interested in working with us at all.
Well, we were told whenever they were on the interview room that their youngest daughter was starting college like the second week of the trial. So if that's the truth, unless something with her college schedule has shifted that we don't know about, which is none of our business, I'm going based off of what they've already publicly told us, then I don't see how the sentencing being on the 23rd would interfere with that schedule again, unless something has changed. So I'm just, trying to remember what we've already been told here.
Does it also really feel even more painful, the fact that you won't get closure on it and you won't get answers?
It's worse than closure, people. What's going on is without him saying he's the sole person responsible for this, he can portray this victimization of himself. He can make a book. His sister's already been working with a professor that helped.
Okay, regardless of if he comes out and says that it was just him alone or if there was someone else involved, that doesn't have anything to do with what he just said. And now he's switching to his sister's going to write a book. Well, y'all have Netflix contracts. So what's the difference between you being the family of the victim and her being the family of the suspect? Y'all are removed from being the center of the situation. So if you can, and if you can give information to James Patterson, if you can give information somehow to Howard Blum, whatever, if you can get with these writers for these things that you want to do, why can't Bryan's people do the same thing? See, the hypocritical shit ain't cute.
Educate him to become a killer. She's going to make a book. They're going to put some of those proceedings on his prison books. So
when was that ever said? When was it ever said? I don't know. I haven't heard it. I've never heard this. So if somebody knows where it's been said that the proceeds from his sister's book and the proceeds from Catherine Ramsland's book that she's apparently going to write about all of this, where and when was it said that all of the proceeds for that were going to go to his books? Because I've never heard that before, but I could be wrong because I don't hear everything.
We're just living this nightmare over and over. And some of the families, I get it. They were just trying to get out of this nightmare, which I want to be done with it as well. but there's a right way to do it, and then there's a wrong way. And right,
especially whenever we were so close to trial. You've literally sat back, not gone to the hearings, basically just not given a damn for 3 years. And you basically, and when I say you basically, the family members I'm talking to should know who I'm speaking to. I shouldn't have to say names because there's multiple of them that are honestly just complete disappointments. But to just simply be okay with just no answers at all coming out, I honestly am kind of shocked that Steve came out so against this because he was so dead set on it being Kohberger. But I also completely understand why he's not okay with it either, because like I said, I agree. But I am really disappointed in the rest of the families that just like bowed down and took it, because that's how I feel that it went. They just said, yeah, okay, because they didn't even want to deal with it to begin with. How many of them have been completely absent during this entire situation? I just find it disgusting that we are this close to trial when the truths were going to have to start coming out, when all of the non-cards, all of the jester cards in the damn deck were going to be coming out and being shown this close. And more than half of them fold. How can you not ask more questions? How can you not have issues with that?
Right now, we've been sold out. We've been sold out in America. And for me to pretend like this is justice is it's beyond me. I can't do that. I can't wake up in the morning and be the same person that I am and not say that this is right or this is wrong. I'm going to stand up, and thank God for media. Thank God for people like you guys who can say, hey, if this is if not everybody's on board,
his eyes are really just wide and out there. Again, I don't know if it's like he's in some sort of like, I think he's just in like a mental thing. Like it has to be. Like we've seen Steve throughout this entire thing, and sometimes he seems real calm and collected. I mean, he still might seem a little bit like angry, but still pretty collected. This is different. This is really messing with him. You can definitely tell.
Let's talk about it. Let's hash this out. Let's get to some kind of agreement. So, I mean, they tried everything to keep me from talking to the media. And that's one.
They also tried everything to keep you from talking to the people that actually had information. Remember, Steve came out and said that he was like this close to meeting up with somebody at a hotel room. And the feds were like, quit it, or like, basically, you're in trouble. We're going to basically just get rid of you. We're going to arrest you. Just stop it now. Which is so pathetic. Because remember, there was even a DNA expert, a genealogy expert that came out, Gabrielle Vargas, that came out and talked. And right after her testimony, where she came out and told us about all these loopholes and all these illegal things that, per the judge's order, are true, but constitutionally unimportant, you know, she had the feds come knocking at her door, too. A lot of secrecy here and a lot of things that the feds don't want out. It's really gross.
One reason why they were upset with me was just because I was going to talk to the media. And I said, you know what, I'm going to talk to the media because they've been more fair to me than you guys have. So here I am, and we're at the end. But
yeah, but during a gag order, Steve, you can't do that. In a gag order, if you want information on your child, they have to be able to trust that you're not going to go out there and run to Ashley Banfield with all of the information. So if they could have trusted you to stay quiet, then maybe you would have had more info. But simply because of one loud group, all of them pretty much were not allowed any information. That's what happened.
You know, thank God to your audience. Thank God to other people that they're interested, because without that, we absolutely have no chance of justice.
Well, we can see the pain, Steve. We can see that you and your family are living that, and the feeling that you've been robbed of any opportunity to see.
Yeah, like these emotions and this anger that I've been seeing from him over the past couple of days or whatever has been interesting. Because a lot of the times I feel like maybe a lot of it's just for like boasting and to like make his ego feel like he's like up there, especially since I noticed that his demeanor changes depending on who he's talking to. When he's over on Drunk Turkey, he's this big aggressive guy. When he's over there with Ashley Banfield, he's a little bit aggressive, but a little bit more soft. When he's over there with Chris McDonough in the interview room, he's a whole different Steve. This anger seems genuine. I'm sure a lot of it has been genuine. He lost his child. But this right here seems probably the most genuine we've seen him in a while, in my opinion.
Justice as it should have been. Tell us a little bit about Kaylee. With the pictures that we've seen, she was an absolutely beautiful young lady and looked so full of life and joy.
Kaylee was amazing. She was that type of person that was kind of like how I'm trying to be. I'm trying to channel her, where she never gave up. She never, ever gave up. She kept fighting. If she had a mission to get a new dress or something that she wanted to do, a new pair of shoes, whatever it was, she'd go around the house doing chores and telling us and reminding us that she was going to work her tail off so she got what she wanted. And that's really why.
They've pretty much told that story about her from the beginning. She seemed like she was willing to work for everything that she wanted. She didn't really want it handed to her. She was willing to go out and put work into it to get it, which is a good quality. I'm
like waking up in the morning right here. We're 4 a.m. in America, where I'm at in Idaho. So I was like, you know what? Anything that I have to honor that beautiful girl, Maddie as well. I have to honor those girls. And if that means getting up in the morning, start my day off a little bit earlier, that's a small sacrifice for what these kids went through. And that's the thing, is these kids went through the very most grotesque moments. And some people are failing us. They're just not standing up to these monsters. And we see these.
I don't know if it's not standing up to the monsters. I mean, I guess it could be, considering who me and quite a few people believe the real monsters actually are here. This whole thing just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right.
School, we see all these mass killings and stuff, and I feel it goes back to just us not putting our foot down and saying enough. And I'm trying to say enough, but I can't get the system right.
It's the system itself, Steve. They've failed millions of people across the country, and not just in murder cases or R cases or SA cases or child cases, all over the place. Anything from an actual partner that went through DV, someone who actually took the life of their partner and their children, all the way to people who steal from business owners. It's all a joke. The system has been soft on crime for decades. It's very rare someone actually does get put away for the crap that they've done. Most of the time, the system will try to find a way to make money off of these criminals. And unfortunately, as long as we keep allowing the higher up governments that come down and ripple effect into all these other smaller governments to continue to allow the people who can fill their pockets to get away with things, nothing's going to change. People get put away because they're not important. People don't get put away because there's something special about them whenever there's a cover-up involved. They're going to take a nobody that at the end of the day, no one's actually going to give a damn about, and they try to put them away and put the blame on them so that the truth doesn't have to come out. It happens all the time. This is just the most prominent one in our faces today.
Now, I can't get the court to, come in line. So, we're going to try to do whatever changes we possibly can, but this is not justice. This is a shortcut, and I can't buy off on it.
No, look.
I mean, if he would have pleaded guilty and actually gave details, like if they, and I've said this already, if they would have given him the damn piece of paper and a pen and made him write out everything, what time did you leave your house? What happened with the knife sheath? What had happened with Kaylee? What happened with Maddie? What happened with Xana? What happened with Ethan? Where did you go? Which directions did you take whenever you leave? Did you actually go all the way down here and then flip around? Or is it just the towers that make it look like you did a big U-shaped thing? What is the details? What are the details? Give us the specifics. We definitely wouldn't still be trying to figure out answers if we would have gotten answers. For the family's sake, part of whatever was agreed to could have been, you're going to handwrite us a complete confession. From you getting ready to leave your damn apartment to you getting back to your apartment to them thinking that he went back the next morning and everything else. And they didn't do that. Why didn't they do that? I don't care what the laws are. Why did they choose not to do that? Because it was a choice. It was definitely a choice. Yeah, he is definitely, this is hitting him a lot harder than I really thought that it would. But the one good thing out of it is that he's finally asking questions. He's out here really trying to bring back all of his original issues, which if he would have kept all of those, in the forefront all along, then maybe things wouldn't have gotten so insane when it came to social media. I just really wish there was a way that this side of the camp and that side of the camp could come together and really put all of our thought processes together, all of our questions. Because it's not like we don't have similar theories. It's not like we don't have similar questions. It just sucks that it always seems like both sides have to be fighting whenever at the end of the day we have a common goal. But I guess that's it. I saw this the other day and wanted to do a review on it. It's just I've been completely sidetracked with the flooding down in Kerrville. Most of you guys know that's my hometown. I was born there. I still have family there. My dad's down there right now as part of the rescue crews. My sister's there right now helping her mother-in-law try to get everything together from basically losing everything inside of her house. She was on the roof for hours waiting for a rescue boat to show up. And then just as of a couple of hours ago, I got a text message that the insurance company, the renter's insurance company, is refusing to cover anything that was in her house that got ruined. So that's just beautiful. It's just all stupid. It's just all stupid. Everything is just all stupid. But let me know what you guys are thinking about this down in the comments. If you like the way that I present this information and give my opinion, please don't forget to leave a like on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And please don't forget to make sure that the notification bell is set to all so you don't miss any of my rants, reviews, reactions, updates, or deep dives. See y'all.